I'm glad that we talked about the trilogy at the beginning, because
Yes.
I think obviously the last time that you were here, we covered quite a lot of different themes.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to deep dive on specifically the theme around creativity.
Yeah.
Because obviously you engage in a lot of different creative pursuits in your life. And I'd love to understand a little bit more about your attitude, your philosophy, the practices that you engage in.
Yeah. Okay.
And as it relates to meaning cultivation, how has creativity influenced your sense of meaning in life and your ability to express the meaning in your life?
Okay. I think what my immediate response to that is that I'm fascinated by the relationship between one thing and another thing, between objects. I'm really fascinated when you put, a pair of glasses, for example, next to a dead dog, or a tomato that's rotten, and then you got a pair of glasses that maybe they're like that, and then there's a dead dog, maybe a flat dead dog. Do you know Flat Stanley stories? There's a whole series of children's stories called Flat Stanley. It's about a flat dog called Stanley. They're great. They're really good fun. And he's just flat, so he moves around like that, and he's in all sorts of strange. But I don't know whether he's been run over. He's called Flat Stanley. Great name for a book, like The Tiny. I kind of ripped. I wish the Flat Stanley books hadn't been written, because I'd have written, the Flat Stanleys by Weaver. So you got a Flat Stanley. You got a tomato that's rotten. It's got maggots coming out of it, and then here you've got like I don't know what it could be. It could be a real bird, a little sparrow. Now, what the hell is the relationship between those four things? How are they suddenly sat together? What set of circumstances in the world would it take for those? I'm really interested. My work ultimately is about seizing the opportunity of putting different objects in relationships to each other that would not normally be in that relationship. So, for example, you saw a snippet, a little bit of time you spent in my latest site-specific sound, audio, image, object thing called my Writing and Everything Variously room, pushed to 65. So you've got giraffes, plastic wooden giraffes, mainly wooden elephants. You got spiders. You got giraffes playing snooker. Now, why would anybody put 7 giraffes of different sizes round a snooker table that's miniature? What is that about? And then next to them, there are 50 everyman science books. There's a book on Judaism, a book on E=mc². So you're implying that the giraffes are really intelligent and they've got tiny brains. They couldn't possibly have absorbed the knowledge in there, but they're bloody good at snooker. I find that very fascinating. Why? And then also next to one of the tallest giraffe that's about this big, a lovely China thing, there's it looks like a recorder, but it's actually a clarinet or a saxophone. I can't get it to blow, but I reckon that giraffes are bloody good saxophone players or clarinet players. Now, why I think that, Osama, is beyond me. Is it because I have a serious mental health problem? Is it because I am slightly bonkers in a good way? Or is it just that's the guts and the bollocks of my creative process? I like seeing things, thinking, how did that happen?
Well, there's 2 thoughts that come to mind for me there.
Okay. Let's just get pushing Flat Stanley off, the rotten tomato, the bird, and there's nothing there.
There's not enough room on this table. Get them out of shot.
Yes.
Get them out of shot. Yeah, so there's 2 things that come to mind there. The first one is the relationship between those objects is fascinating.
Yeah.
But there's also something about the relationship between equally unusual thoughts that arrive or are evoked in our brains, right? In the creative process.
Randomly, kind of.
Yeah, because it's certainly...
Are we talking consciously or in a dream state or both?
Well, this is potentially something that I'd like to sort of dig into a little bit is, you say, I'm not sure where they come from.
Yes.
And when we talk about accumulating and curating objects in an installation, you can imagine that question of where did they come from is an easier one to answer, right? I accumulated these over the years. I went to this charity shop, or I went to this antique store.
Absolutely.
And I acquired them. And I decided to exhibit them in this way. Thoughts obviously aren't like that, but they can be equally absurd and unlikely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd be curious to understand, if you can, how it is that those thoughts arise, or at least how is it that you weave together, and forgive the pun.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
How is it that you weave together these unlikely thoughts?
Okay, well, I know for a fact that one of the channels through which that desire and that compulsion, that absolutely have to do that, is from a certain kind of dream that I have on quite a regular basis.